Alrighty, so this episode starts with Cinder and Neo talking, and I want to start off by saying that this is the correct way to do evil villain scheming. Back in Volume 5, they did a similar thing. It's actually really similar, even with Cinder shaking her hand when she's trying to plot the fall of Haven with Raven. And that was really, really terrible, because that whole conversation between her and Raven, and like the others are there, it just drags out to like 15 minutes, and we don't need to spend that much time with our villains. I think if you want your villains' plan to be a surprise and to be intriguing, you should spend less time with them. That's something RWBY has always shown us, the villains' steps and the villains' plans, especially with the introduction of Salem. Torchwick would like plot stuff, and we had like an idea, and that was okay, but we spent too little time with him. Like Torchwick showed up, we see his map with dumb cops on it, and then he disappears for fucking like 7 episodes, and then finally comes back at the end. If we kept going back and hinting at it, then it'd be a better way to build tension around what his ideas and his plot is. We've seen Cinder and Neo fairly frequently enough that I am intrigued to see what is happening, and this conversation does a good job setting up whatever it is they're going to do. I think it helps that Neo can't talk, so the conversation can't get drawn out like how it does with Raven. Raven tends to just drag every scene out as long as possible. I don't think it's her performance, the voice actresses. I think it's just the way they write Raven. She tends to like really get sidetracked with her own thoughts and stuff. I don't know. I am curious, because I'm sure Salem is smart enough to figure out that if... I don't think Neo's going to kill RWBY, but if Salem finds out that Cinder basically told her to, what does that mean for Cinder? I think she believes she's more important to Salem than she actually is. So I'm wondering if there's going to be some sort of punishment for Cinder later on in the volume. So with Maria's flashback, I understood it was a flashback. One thing is, everyone spoils everything on Twitter, so I have to just learn to avoid it. So I knew it was Maria, and I'm fine with that spoiler, honestly. It's just that the transition into it, I understood it was Maria right away. I'm wondering if I would have known that if I hadn't have known the spoiler. I got it after I saw her. Clearly her design is similar to Maria's, and then she uses silver eyes, so we get that, but right off the bat, it's a bit of a chunky transition, especially because it's like the shot of the bridge, and there was someone, I talked to someone, and they were like, yeah, I was like, how are they going to get Bumblebee across this bridge? And then we saw Maria, and she figured it out. So it was fine. I just feel like they could have transitioned into it better. Maybe if like this scene took place before the scene with Cinder and Neo, I would transition a little bit easier, but I'm not sure. I don't know. It's okay. Another thing is, I love Maria's young design. She's so beautiful, and she's super cool. And I like that there's a lot of similarities between her and RWBY. Not just the silver eyes, but she also has a cape and a hood, and she has a scythe sickle. A scythe sickle? I don't know if it's a scythe or a sickle. I think the only difference between the two is the size, and I don't know what her medium-sized weapon would classify as. Also, her weapon, I want to say, is really, really well designed. Something I feel like is... weapons have taken a toll in design aspect-wise. Good example, the Albane brothers' stupid, like, wand daggers that are really terrible and really, really boring. Also, Leo's shield, similarly terrible. But these, her, like, scythes, I'm just gonna go with scythe. Her scythes are really unique, and I feel like it was really well thought out how to implement them together and to use them in combat. So I'm super jazzed about that, and their just design alone is really cool. They're visually appealing. So Talk is supposed to be based off of the alligator from Peter Pan, TikTok. That's why she's an alligator. I didn't get that she was an alligator at first. I thought she was just like an iguana or something like that. I guess I could have figured, because she bites Maria's weapon at one point in time. But I don't know. I just wasn't very clear. It's also not really clear, like, I've heard that her semblance is she becomes invulnerable for a short period of time, and the watch is timing her, so she knows how long she has for invulnerability. I mean, I guess it's not important. She's a really, really minor character, and she's clearly not coming back, so I shouldn't be thinking too much into this. Something I really like is they've done something really cool with the ticking of her clock with the background music. That's clever. I like when the background music has been so amazing so far. I said that already, but It's really blowing me away, and I'm really liking what they're doing with it. RWBY's, like, getting violent. Like, there's a lot of blood recently. Like, I know they said after Volume 3, well, starting with Volume 3, heading into these latest volumes, is that it was going to be a lot more mature. And, like, here and there I can see certain things, but there hasn't been blood anywhere. And suddenly now, there's, like there was a big old blood splatter in the Adam trailer, and now Maria, her eyes, you can see them bleeding. Even when Yang's arm got cut off, like, it was yellow. That's not blood. So, it's interesting, this direction that the show is taking. It's not bad, it's just shocking, really. Hearing Maria screaming in agony as her eyes have been cut out, that was pretty intense. That might be the most intense character moment we've seen from the show. Like, it wasn't like the most devastating blow a character has taken, but just that performance, that was good. I understand why she got hired. Maria, she's good. This might be a minor thing, but I haven't really been all that impressed with Vic Mignogna's performance as Crow so far. Maybe it's because the voice he has to do for Crow is kind of a lot to ask. But Crow, I didn't notice it at first because during Volumes 4 and 5, when Crow talks, he's mostly just expositing, and there's not much you can do character-wise with that. But now he's supposed to be, like, super amazed with Maria, and later he's, like trying to be, like, a bit of a chauvinist. He's trying to show off. And his performance, it just all sounds the same to me. I don't know. Vic Mignogna's a good voice actor, but Crow just always sounds bored, no matter what. Yang should have been able to see this up ahead. Like, it's not that far, and she's looking straight forward on Bumblebee. Why didn't she notice it before? Alright, so, I'm not gonna lie. I'm really bummed that Juniper is back in the story. I like Juniper, for the most part. I do like these characters, but if I don't want them the thing is, I feel like the cast is so big already. We have 4 members of Team RWBY, Ruby Weiss, Blake Yang, and then there's Oscar, Crow, and Maria. That's a whole cast of 7 right now. That's pretty big. And that's not even including the villains being in here. And we were just starting to get some really good character development between our core cast, our 4 main characters. Ruby and Weiss were doing things together, Blake and Yang were doing things together, and I was excited, and I want to see where those relationships go, because they're our main cast. And they've been separated for so long, and I feel like they haven't gotten any chance to grow with each other in such a long time. And we've hinted at the beginning of those kind of things, and now Juniper's back. And I'm worried they're just going to steal the spotlight again. Nora is just going to yank it away to make dumb jokes, and Jean's going to be there to accidentally protagonist all over the place. And, like, this episode, they were fine. They didn't bother me this episode. But I'm looking at the thumbnail for the next episode, and it's like, Jean mad at Oscar, and I don't care. I don't care if Jean's mad at Oscar. Jean is such an over-emotional character, and because of that, he always tends to steal the spotlight. And this has been happening since Volume 1. He's like, freak out with Pyrrha, being like, I'm tired of being the lovable idiot stuck in the tree. Like, it happens so quickly in the plotline of RWBY in general that it felt like he was just overreacting, and he's just always been that emotional character and just demands your attention as soon as it happens. And it steals the spotlight away from our main cast, and it bothers me. A lot of people are like, well, because Juniper is supposed to be main characters too. Well, the show isn't fucking called RWBY and Juniper. Alright, I'm sorry. If we do, I don't think having Juniper around will automatically ruin the story or anything. They could be a really good supporting cast. But I worry that it's going to be too big of a cast now. The one thing that could make it cool is Nora has yet to get any really solid development character-wise. We got Ren, and Nora was an important part of his backstory, but it wasn't her backstory. And she's still screaming out jokes and being a big goofball. I hope to see a bit more of a serious side from Nora, but I'm also worried that we don't need that right now. We have our main cast, and taking away some time to develop Nora a bit more I don't know if it'd be good or bad, but if anything happens with Juniper, I hope it's Nora. So I've been talking to my friends and my sisters, and we've been talking about this situation with Juniper coming back. And my one sister brought up a really interesting idea that Nora would be the one to stand up with Ozpin, or at least, like, stand up for Oscar, because everyone's going to get pissed off because oh, how dare he, you know, blah, 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 the relics. Okay, we got that. But what if Nora was the only one who stood up for him? Because she clearly really likes him. Little boy Oz that's who he is to her. So maybe she would be the only one who would be willing to stand by his side while everyone else gets pissed off. And that would be a pretty interesting direction for her to take. It would also give an interesting conversation point between her and Ren, because it's always been like fluff conversations between the two of them, except for when she needed to give him encouragement. But what if they were at odds with each other suddenly? That would be pretty interesting. But this is all speculation and hopes, and I don't really think... I honestly don't think it would happen, but if it did, I think that'd be the most interesting direction to take Juniper. Oh boy, gotta stop the plot right in its tracks so Juniper can tell RWBY the history lesson that they've been studying up on. Like, we've been doing such a good job with exposition so far, and just sitting in the trolley while Ren, Nora, and John tells them about the lovely history of Mistral and Mantle, blah, blah, blah. It's not really that important, and I don't really care. And it was kind of sloppily done, and it reminded me of Volumes 4 and 5, where characters just exposit. And it's boring and dumb, and I don't like it. I realize I'm being kind of critical, but seeing the thumbnail for the next episode and having Juniper come back and having this exposition dump, basically, I can't shake this feeling that the volume could dip in quality. Nothing in the volume so far has hinted at that. I can't shake, because Volume 4 and Volume 5, both I was hopeful for, but then something happened and suddenly just became really awful. Just, the story plummeted. It became just exposition, it became just caricatures, it became really sloppy animation. I don't expect Volume 6 to take that route, though. It has been amazing so far. I just can't shake this feeling inside me that it's gonna go downhill. Volume 2 started out really amazing, but then after the dance, it just got really, really boring, and I hope this volume doesn't follow suit. I'm really excited to finally meet John's sisters. I'm a little upset because I was just thinking about making a video talking about how I would be intrigued to see them, but here they are. I don't need to make the video anymore. Even though we've only been introduced to Sapphire, seeing just that picture of the 8 kids together in her house, I get a solid idea of who these other sisters are. I'd be interested to meet them, but it doesn't take precedence or anything. Something I feel like this episode suffers from really bad tone shifts. So it starts out like, oh no, Maria's eyes have been cut out and she's crying and screaming in agony, and then 1 minute later, Weiss and Yang are like gooing at a baby. It doesn't transition well into each other. But RT has kind of had a problem with the tone shifts in the past. I don't know. It's hard to get a pulse on the show when half of it you see like people bleeding and they're in terrible pain, and then the other half characters are being goofy and silly and screaming. The show has a bit of an identity crisis sometimes, I feel like. So that's basically everything I have to say about this episode. This was kind of just a regular, normal, fluff filler episode. The one thing with this arc thing that they've gotten back to, like little mini arcs within the volume, is we always have to reset with an episode that sets up what the next arc is going to be. I assume I'm going to call this the Argus arc so far, and the end of this one, they'll get their ship and they'll head over to Atlas, and then probably once they land at Atlas, that'll be the final arc. So it wasn't bad. I feel like I kind of griped a lot, but I'm not. The biggest problem is just Juniper coming back. I worry with having such a huge cast, not even including the minor characters like Saffron and Terracotta. Suddenly it's so big of a cast, and I worry about that, because they tend to struggle with writing big casts like this. So don't get me wrong, this wasn't a bad episode. I'm really not looking forward to next episode. I mean, I did look forward to episode 6, and that ended up being amazing, so maybe I'll be wrong again, but based on the thumbnail, and based on what we know of how they tend to write Jean, I'm really, really not looking forward to the next episode. And this one, it was fine. It was a nice little episode. Really great technically. Like, seeing the city was a lot of fun. And just performances and production, it has been really amazing. Really, the highlight of this episode was Maria's backstory. Just seeing that was really awesome. And I guess we'll see where the show goes from here. If you liked my little reaction episode, do me a favor and go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you're thinking. Do you disagree with me? Do you think Jean is the best character in the world? Please, let me know why you think that. I'm very curious. And what did you think of the episode in general? Did you think Maria was amazing? Because she was. And I guess I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.